All right, we've got a packed one for you today. We're going to jump right into two massive stories that are shaking up the tech world. First up, we're talking about phones that fold not just once, but twice. And then we need to talk about a pretty serious hardware crisis that could change the way you buy electronics forever.
So let me just ask you something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Are you ready for a phone that has 3 screens? Because that future is literally unfolding right now, and it's kicking off a brand new war between some of the biggest names in the game.
Okay, let's get into it. For years, the big smartphone fight has been all about who has the best camera or the fastest chip. But now, a whole new battleground is opening up, and it's all about how many times your phone can bend. And we're going to start with the company that's really taking this global, Samsung.
I mean, just picture this. A device that fits in your pocket, but you unfold it once, then twice, and suddenly you're holding a massive 10.1-inch tablet. That's exactly what Samsung is promising with its new Trifold. Now, to be fair, Huawei technically got one out the door first, but Samsung's global power, well, this is the moment the idea of a Trifold phone really goes mainstream.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. On one hand, you've got the biggest battery Samsung has ever put in a foldable, and it can run a full desktop experience, their DeX mode, right from the device itself. But here's the real head-scratcher. A device that is practically screaming to be used with a stylus has absolutely no S Pen support. It's a really strange choice, and frankly, a huge missed opportunity.
And the price? Yeah, you might want to sit down for this one. Early numbers are pointing to something around 12,000 dirhams, which is over 3,000 US dollars. This isn't just a phone. It's a statement about what's possible at the very, very top end of tech.
But Samsung's way isn't the only way to do this. You've basically got two different schools of thought emerging. Samsung's design is like a book. You close it and the big delicate screens are protected on the inside. But its rivals, like Xiaomi and Huawei, they're working on a version where the screen wraps all the way around the outside. It's a bit riskier for sure, but it could open up some really cool new ways to use the device.
So let's move on, because awesome tech isn't just about folding screens. There are a ton of other companies out there doing some really fascinating and maybe even more practical things to push smartphones forward.
Just check out some of this cool stuff. You've got Tecno, who's working on a camera with tiny moving mirrors to give you seamless optical zoom, which is just wild. Then there's Infinix teaming up with the legendary car designer Pininfarina to make a beautiful mid-range phone. And get this, for all you privacy fans, a European company called Jolla is making a Linux phone with actual physical kill switches. And if you just want a phone that lasts forever, Nubia just announced a new foldable with a jaw-dropping 6510 mAh battery.
But, and this is a really big but, all of this amazing innovation, all these complicated new gadgets, they come at a cost. And it's a cost that's about to hit all of us, not just the people buying the fancy new phones. We've got to switch gears here and talk about a serious crisis that's brewing in the hardware that powers our entire digital world. I'm just going to read this quote to you directly because it is, well, it's chilling. An expert in the field is warning of a global collapse that exceeds what happened in 2008. They're talking about the consumer hardware market, and that is a massive, massive warning.
And here is the first major domino to fall. Micron, the company that makes the super popular Crucial brand of RAM and SSDs, well, after 30 years, they are completely walking away from the consumer market. They're putting every single bit of their resources into building parts for AI data centers. For the rest of us, that means one less major player and almost certainly much higher prices.
So you can see the chain reaction playing out right now. The entire tech industry is betting the farm on AI, right? That creates this insane demand for components. So the big suppliers pivot to serve that market. That leaves the consumer market, for our PCs, phones, even our smart fridges, out in the cold, creating a huge shortage. And when supply goes down, well, you know what happens next. Prices go through the roof.
And look, this isn't some far-off theory. This is happening right now. Just look at this slide. A pretty standard kit of RAM that cost you $85 just 2 months ago has exploded to $225 today. That's nearly a 3 times increase in just 60 days. It's unbelievable.
And if you think this only affects high-end PC builders, think again. The problem is so widespread that even the humble Raspberry Pi, that tiny, affordable computer that powers so many DIY projects, they've had to raise their prices. When a product that's specifically designed to be cheap starts getting more expensive, you know the problem is real and it is affecting everyone.
So with this whole AI-driven hardware crisis brewing in the background, it's really no surprise that the biggest names in tech are being forced to make some really tough calls and completely rethink where they're heading. I mean, just look at Meta. After pouring billions and billions of dollars into his vision for the metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg is finally pumping the brakes. Reality Labs, the whole division behind it, is getting hit with a massive 30% budget cut. It's a crystal clear signal that they're shifting away from the far-off dream of VR and focusing on the here and now of augmented reality. And then there's this. Wow. In what could be one of the biggest shakeups in media history, Netflix has announced it's planning to buy the legendary giant Warner Brothers.
Let's just stop and think about the sheer scale of this deal for a second. This isn't just buying a library of old movies. If this goes through, Netflix will own HBO. They'll own DC Comics, that's Batman, Superman, the whole universe. They'll own Cartoon Network. They get the keys to the entire Warner Bros. Movie studio. It is a staggering consolidation of power that will totally reshape what we watch for years to come.
So, it all leaves us with one big question, right? We've got all these different futures just racing towards us. So which one gets here first? Is it the hardware crisis sparked by AI? A world where one company owns most of our entertainment? Or are we going to be watching it all happen on our brand new 3-screen phones? The only thing we know for sure is that all of this is connected, and it's changing our world faster than ever before.